Way back when I started ranking and reviewing the 55 albums that Frank released after he passed away, or that the ZFT have released after he passed away, I'm not including birthday bundles, and I combined Mofo and Halloween stuff. I had a little contest asking people to see if they can guess what my top 5 were, and the person who guessed the most I would send them this, my copy of this, my number 55 favorite out of 55 albums released while he was alive. I don't ever plan on listening to this again. I still own it on vinyl because for some reason I bought it on CD after I realized I didn't like it on vinyl. For some reason I thought maybe listening to it in my car would make me like it more. It did not. So I'm giving this one away. And the winner, congratulations, the person who guessed 4 of my top 5 way back when, many months ago. It is Spaghetti Lee. Congratulations, Spaghetti Lee. You get this. I also have I think it was a Strictly Commercial CD floating around here that I'm going to send you, a Greatest Hits Strictly Commercial. And I think I still have 3 copies of We're Only In It For The Money. So if I can find 2 of those copies, I will include that in. But anyways, yeah, I will comment my email address to you, or yeah, whatever. I'm going to get your address so I can send you that stuff. But congratulations, Spaghetti Lee. Now, the ones he named that he got correct, he missed number 1. He said that was Hammersmith Odeon, which was a good guess. Then he got Leather as number 1. As number 2, I have it as, where is it? Halloween 77, A Token of His Extreme, Road Tapes Venue 2. He did a really good job. Thank you. On to this review. Hello, people. Thanks for tuning in. My name is Shaggy, the Opinionated Hippie. Currently, and about to finish ranking and reviewing every single Frank Zappa album released after he passed away in December of 1993. And after reviewing 54 of the 55 I have deemed rank worthy and reviewing, I didn't do the birthday bundles. I combined like the Halloween and the Mofo and stuff like that. Currently on number 1, it is, yes, you can read, it is Lather. Why is this number 1? Because the 4 albums that this would eventually become, there's a long backstory, which I will briefly get into in a second. The 4 albums that eventually this became, I think the highest ranked one is 15 out of the original 55. So why would those 4 albums, which rank as only as high as 15 and then on through the, I think 2 are in the teens and 2 are in the 20s, why would together they be number 1? Are the sum really better than the parts? Yes, the sum is better than the parts. And 2, it is not really because of that album right there, that CD release that came out in 1997, I love this album as much as I do. But when I first started getting into Frank, like rabbit hole, deep dive into Frank, it was right immediately after You Can't Do That on Stage Volume 1 came out in 1988. I got that. I had 4 Frank Zappa albums prior to that, which I absolutely loved, but for some reason they never compelled me to like dive deeply. I was heavily into metal and the Grateful Dead at that time, and that kind of met all my needs. But You Can't Do That on Stage Volume 1 completely changed that. I needed more Frank. I went to Music Market in Costa Mesa. It was this amazing used record store and a regular record store. It was like a 2-story type thing, but like they were both on the ground floor. It was one of those weird malls where you had like, but anyways, the entrance was on the 2nd floor, and then you would go down into the basement, which also had its own storefront, but they actually never opened it, so it was kind of weird, and it was this giant used record store down there. And right after I got You Can't Do That on Stage Volume 1, I went there with the sole purpose of finding some Frank Zappa, and I found this amazing box set of Leather right there. The box was in a beat up condition, almost exactly what it looked like when I bought it. I have not done anything to it. But the vinyl itself was in absolute pristine condition. I mean, just immaculate. And so I bought this 4 vinyl set used at Music Market it was only $29.95. So probably one of the best purchases I ever made in my life. I played the heck out of it for about 9 years. until they released the CD version, in which I kind of gave it a rest at that point. Though I still listen to it more often than I should. It's still in really good condition. Thank you very much. But yeah, this completely made sure gravity made me fall all the way to the bottom of that rabbit hole. What this essentially is, if you are unfamiliar with Leather, is back in the mid-'70s, Frank had a deal with Warner Brothers, a contract. He had to deliver them four albums. He delivered them 4 albums. They got upset because he apparently delivered them at once. They weren't going to release them, so he took them back, and then he repurposed them or repackaged them as Leather. He went on the radio and played Leather to people. At some point, Warner Brothers released 2 of them without his permission. Then there's a whole backstory. But anyways, most of the songs on here eventually were released on Orchestral Favorites, which was live orchestra performances from 1975. Sleep Dirt, which centered around the instrumental passages, though the CD release of Sleep Dirt would have vocals that Frank added later. This Leather and the original Sleep Dirt did not have the vocals on these certain tracks. Studio Tan, which was pretty much the odds and ends of whatever didn't fit on the other 3. The 4th one being Zappa in New York, performances from the live 76 Christmas shows. And then there's also material on here that, other than on Lather, still hasn't been released. And there's some live material from the Winter 77 band, which was the same as the December 76 Live in New York band, minus the horn section and the extra percussionists. And we still don't have a live show from them, so maybe we'll get a good live show from Winter 77 at some point, like a box set, Winter 77 stuff. But yeah, and so that's what's on here. It is 4 LPs. I've gone over most of these songs on other, talking about those other 4 albums. But yeah, I just, having a lot of these songs sort of juxtaposition next to each other, instead of like having the orchestral favorites just on an album that exists in its own world. Yes, a lot of the orchestral tracks appear on the same side on this album, like on the vinyl, the same side, but they also come between 2 other sides of vinyl, which are completely different. So it just adds like power, and the contrast brings out the best in all of them. So, it's like a flavor profile. The more complementary flavors you have that can bring out and highlight the other flavors, that's what this album does perfectly. So I'm going to go over, so the CD has all of these songs. I will tell you where the CD break is, but I'm going to go over it side by side, because to me, that is where the real joy is. The first side and the last side being just Gregory Peccary, are almost perfect sides of music. And the first side is the most Uncle Meat side of this album. It feels like Uncle Meat, in that you have a lot of, that's another thing that's on this album a lot, is those shake your booty segue noises with O'Hearn and Bosio talking, and all the like percussion noises. Those exist on this album, and those would then eventually be recycled or used for the first time officially on Shake Your Booty. The opening side feels kind of like Uncle Meat, in that you have like all of these disparate elements. You don't really have a pop song until the very end, when you have a really good, just great rocker that kind of is the only thing other than the opener, like the Uncle Meat theme, which kind of ties them all together. Otherwise, there's a lot of randomness, including the guitar solo. Very similar to Uncle Meat, which is one of the reasons why I think I like both of these so much. But the first side is this. It starts off with about 25 seconds of the shake your booty noises. Bosio says something and O'Hearn says something. There's more noises. And then Egyptian strut comes in, just like a movie theme opener. It reminds me of the beginning of Pulp Fiction. We get the diner scene with Honey Bunny, and then they hold your hands up, I'm gonna execute every last one of you, right? And then Jungle Boogie comes in. That's what this feels like. You get that shake your booty intro, like talking weirdness, and then Egyptian strut comes in, like these are the opening credits. It's grand, it's over the top, it's majestic, and it like sets you up for the rest of this incredible journey. That goes into like a minute and a half of naval aviation and art, this is the eerie, creepy version of this. There's a later performance that's a little more, I think, sanitized. This one has a little more of an eerie feeling, works incredibly well after Egyptian strut. That goes into a Little Green Rosetta, which is like a little green Rosetta, like George on piano and Frank just kind of singing it, kind of a la Muffin Man. And then that goes into a ridiculous guitar solo that is taken from, oh no, this one goes into Ship Ahoy. So you get a part of Ship Ahoy, which obviously had not been released, which was an end of a Zoot Allure's February 76 guitar solo when Frank uses the heavy effects. So you get part of Ship Ahoy, some more weirdness in conducting. And then the next song is Duck Duck Goose, which has the guitar jam of the end of a My Guitar Wants to Kill Your Mother, Winter 77 guitar jam that is a straight on Whole Lot of Love. Da-na-na-na-na. Just Frank going at that, O'Hearn playing on bass. I mean, it is just heavy. It is ridiculous. That ends and there's way more like chaos, Frank leading the band, and a lot of noises, a lot of type of like collage type sounds and stuff like that. Very harkening back to like 60s Frank. That goes into Down into Do, which we got on Crux of the Biscuit. So this came from the Apostrophe sessions. So we got stuff from the Apostrophe sessions. We got stuff that maybe a pre-apostrophe on here which is the next track, which is just Humphrey on drums, Duke on piano, keyboards, Fowler on bass, and then Frank on guitar and vocals, closing out the first side with For the Young Sophisticate. It is just a straight rock version of this Tinseltown Rebellion song. Frank is playing some great guitar. Ricky Lancelotti, who was on Overnight Sensation, is doing some great screaming vocals at the end. It is just a perfect side of music, side one. Side two is Trying to Grow a Chin from January 77, Broken Hearts Are for Assholes from that January 77 band, and then Legend of the Illinois Enema Bandit from the Zappa New York shows. Side three is essentially the Studio Tan side. You get Let Me Take You to the Beach, Revised Music, and Redunzel. Side four is back to the Zappa in New York side. We get Honey Don't You Want a Man Like Me, The Black Page, Big Leg Emma, and Punky's Whips. I am not a fan of Honey Don't You Want a Man Like Me. I've been very, very clear about that. But I will say that when I listen to the CD version of this, it is if I listen to it back to back, Redunzel closes out the first CD and Honey Don't You Want a Man Like Me opens the next CD. And for some reason, if I listen to them back to back or if I listen to the vinyl, it works in that context. Like everything before that allows me to like almost forgive Frank for playing Honey Don't You Want a Man Like Me. Or maybe I just like the song a lot more because of this, and I only like it on here. But anyways, I don't hate it as much on this release as I generally do on most other releases, except for Stage 3. I do think the Stage 3 version, the vocal weirdness in that kind of redeems that. Still not a good song. And then the Black Page number 1, Big Leg Emma, which I'm always a fan of, and then Punky's Whips. Side 5 is Flambe off Sleep Dirt, and then the Purple Lagoon. Side 6 is Pedro's Dowry, Leather, Spider of Destiny, and Duke of Orchestral Prunes. And having Leather, I promise not to come in your mouth, right there in the middle of that makes Pedro's Dowry, which is an orchestral favorites piece, and Spider of Destiny, which is one of those performance Hutchin' 2 pieces that are kind of over the top that would later get vocals that would ruin this song for me. It's a really good combination of stuff. And this is the Leather from the Zappa in New York show. So we get that, or the shows, which I think bits and pieces of it to combine this. Yeah, so that's good. And then side 7 is Filthy Habits. This is a shorter Filthy Habits. I think if there's about 2 minutes chopped off and there's a whole bunch of noises and weirdness and like, Frank conducting stuff and just that 60s weird chaotic music at the end. The solo is shorter. Everything's a little shorter about it. I think there's a chunk taken in the middle and then chunk taken toward the end. I wish it was the longer one. I do like the longer one better, but it still works. Then you get Titties and Beer. Great segue. And then the side closes out with The Ocean is the Ultimate Solution. This is a much shorter version of that. You're missing like almost the entire first 4 minutes, and then you're missing a little bit of Frank's solo at the end. I do wish the solo at the end had not been cut, but I am okay. I think this version works a little better. That's one of those songs, I think I said in the last video, Frank can play for as long as he wants. I think The Ocean goes on a little bit too long and kind of drags down. But and I think this version is the better version than the Sleep Dirt version. I know that's not a popular opinion, but that's what I think. And then side A is an almost near perfect side of music, The Adventures of Gregory Peccary. Yeah, just that song. So yeah, that's it. That's Leather. You should have known it was coming when I didn't say anything about it after record number 2, but that's my number 1 favorite album. A lot of it is personal because of what it means to me personally, because it is specifically the 8 sides of vinyl is what is special to me, though I love the CD. There's some bonus tracks on the CD. I think there's a bonus track of Just Like All the Weird Noises. You get a version of Egyptian Strut that is remixed. You get Leather Goods, which is a solo that takes place, which is the full solo of the Whole Lotta Love thing. And I think there's a Dazed and Confused. I think it's 2 things. I didn't go back and listen to Leather Goods because it's not on there. I should have done that because it's on the CD. But I think it's 2 different solos put together. One is a Dazed and Confused reference and one is a Whole Lotta Love. So it's kind of a combination of those 2 things, if I remember correctly. Sorry for not listening to that. And then you get a version of Time Is Money. So anyways, but yeah, Leather, it's a great album. It's sort of a sampler. It's like a greatest hits package, but it wasn't originally supposed to be a greatest hits package. It's got a little bit of everything. It's like the best sort of like, you go to a restaurant and you're like, I want one of all of your best things. I want a little bit of orchestral music. I want some guitar jamming. I want a 20-minute piece about a pig that's all crazy with complicated music. And then just give me some really good live stuff, maybe a good, really short rocker, maybe a song about the devil and a girl on a motorcycle, jokes. It's all here on this album. Like, you can't go wrong with Leather. Yeah, that's it, my number 1. One of the shorter videos, but you know, the music speaks for itself, and Let It Go speak for itself. And that's all I got to say about this, people. Thank you for watching. I'm done with all the albums. Don't know what I'm going to do with my life now, but I am going to actually start ranking the tours because I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying these conversations, enjoying talking to people and hearing your opinions. Thank you all very much for the comments. I love them. But next up, probably next weekend, who knows, my least favorite Frank Zappa tour of all time, which is still something I absolutely enjoy, but less than all the others. And then I'm going to go down the list. But that's it. Take care, people. Thank you for watching. Subscribe and all that stuff. Adios.